Welcome to my channel. I'm Zhangjin Xu. Let's talk about problem 53 in chapter 2. In this one, it is still up through problems. It tells us a kangaroo jumps vertical, so jumps vertical. Tell us the initial velocity is pointing up, right? And then the height of 1.65 meter. This is tell us that at the peak, the position is 1.65 meter. If we choose the initial position as the reference point 0, how long was it in the air? So this one, the t, is the total time from the initial to the final. It returns to the reference point. In this one, when we solve the problem, we can see it tells us the acceleration is always pointing down with the negative side. So we must keep negative side there because we choose this up as positive. So when acceleration pointing down, it must negative side. The magnitude is 9.8 meter per second square. And in this one, we can see we don't know initial velocity and we don't know the time taken. If we want to find the time t, the most straightforward thinking is we know initial position, we know final position, we know acceleration. We can consider the position and the time function, but there we need to know the initial velocity at the beginning, right, at the first step. So the step is to find the initial velocity there. So to find the initial velocity there, we can see we look at this part from the initial to the peak. In this one, we know the initial position, the peak position, the acceleration, and the peak velocity. So easy, we can get the initial velocity. In this one, we input the lowest. The initial velocity is the squared 2g yp. Input the known quantities, we get it. In this one, we get the initial velocity, and then it's easy for us to find the total time t. If we consider this displacement and time t functions and input the known quantities, we can see the time t is just 2v0 divided by g. If we input the known quantities, it is 1.16 seconds. In these problems, we can see I suggest you to list the known quantities in the picture and see what happens. In this one, you can say you need to find t. So what quantity you need? The most straightforward way is consider there. You need to know initial velocity. And then, how can you find the initial velocity? You consider the part 1 from the initial to the peak, this process. So it looks like we need to find the initial velocity as a bridge to connect to solve the problems, right? So how can you find these bridges? That means you need to list the known quantities and unknown quantities and figure out the relationship between them, then you can solve it. Thank you.